Welcome back to the channel. My name is Apple Crider and my mission is to help you create a life of abundance through everyday financial habits. Today we're talking about my top 6 side hustle ideas during quarantine. I've had a lot of people message me lately asking me how do I make money during quarantine? Maybe they're out of work, maybe their $600 of unemployment stopped coming through and now they need to make rent. Whatever the case is, this video is going to break down my top 6 ideas for how you can make between $25 and $100 per hour by doing different side hustles during quarantine. Now, for the most part, these are all totally location independent, except for the first 2, which are a bit more restrictive as to where you're at. The last 4 are all, you can do them from wherever you want, and there's no need to be in any particular location. Most of these I've also messed around with myself, so I'll be sharing some personal experiences, stories, etc. And as always, there are timestamps for all of them located in the description below if you just want to skip around and find whichever ones you are interested in. So let's dive right on into it. The first side hustle idea for quarantine is to be a contact tracer. Now, this is something that is in very high demand at the moment because of the current pandemic. And so because of this, the rates are higher than normal. I mean, contact tracing is something that is always going on, but right now there is a particular demand for it. So average rates are hovering around that $25 per hour mark for contact tracers. Now, what is a contact tracer, you might be asking? Basically, what you're doing is you're tracing the contacts that people who have tested positive for COVID have had since they have been infectious or since the disease has been transmittable from them. So basically what you're doing is you're finding and calling close contacts of people who have tested positive and providing information to them, safety precautions, and informing them of how they can get connected with resources. Okay, you're basically calling people up, you're saying, hey, just so you know, you might have COVID and here's what you should do. You should probably start quarantining. You should probably not go out. You should probably not talk to people. Here's how you might have gotten infected, etc. So as you can see, it's a pretty heavy position. It's not something that is going to be just a breeze. You just show up every day and get paid and go home. If you have a conscience, there's going to be a bit of a toll on you with the people you have to talk to, with some of the hardships you might be exposed to through people letting you know, hey, I can't actually afford to take off work. I can't afford to quarantine for 2 weeks. I can't get food. So it's definitely a bit of a taxing position, but the rates are much higher than normal at that $25 per hour mark. And according to George Washington University, there are about 184,000 contact tracers needed right now just in the US. So this is something where there's a lot of demand and the salaries are reflecting that. Now, there is no degree requirement. There's no public health experience requirement to be a contact tracer because, like I said, you're really just calling people up, informing them you have a script to go off of. So it's pretty straightforward. But again, like I said, it might be it will be a little bit emotionally taxing. So you're going to have to be prepared for that if this is something that you do want to consider pursuing. Now, I will say there's also some upward mobility with a position like this. If you do lock in a part-time gig as a contact tracer, you could also be promoted to a case investigator or some other kind of higher up position. If you're looking to get a job in the public health field at some point, this could be a good way to get your foot in the door. I mean, it is public health experience, even though you don't need public health experience to get it. So it could be a good opportunity for you in that case, or if you're just trying to score some extra money during quarantine, this could be a great opportunity for you. All right, moving right along to side hustle idea number 2. This is an Uber Eats driver or a delivery food driver. This is one that I might have a little personal bias towards during high school. My last 2 years of high school, I spent a lot of weekends and a lot of days during the week picking up hours and picking up shifts as a delivery driver for these apps. I've had a great time doing it. I've got a video actually that I made about my experience with that. So if you check that out up here in the corner, you should see a link to that. But it's a pretty decent gig. You know, I was making anywhere from $25 to $30 an hour when I was doing it. Again, this is a couple of years ago now, so times might have changed, but for the most part, I'm pretty sure that you can still make pretty comparable rates to that. One of the ways that I was making more money with these apps is I was stringing multiple of them together. So when I was driving, I would always have Postmates and DoorDash on. So I could kind of choose between the orders, pick the ones that had the highest payouts, made some decent money doing that and just driving around the city, listening to some podcasts. So this is a side hustle. Again, it's kind of location dependent because you have to be in a city where there is demand for this right now. I mean, the demand for food delivery has gone significantly up, but if you're located in a rural area, you might not even have access to some of these apps. So you do have to be based in a city for this. You have to be based in a city that has these apps, and depending on the competition in your market, some of them might not be as profitable as others. It totally depends on where you are at. But I will say I've had a really positive experience being a delivery driver myself when I was in high school. Again, made a couple $1,000s throughout my last 2 years of school, just picking up hours here and there. And it's really nice because with a lot of these apps, you don't have to commit to certain shifts. You can just turn the app on whenever you want, do some deliveries, turn it off. And it's a pretty solid solution for people looking to make some extra money during quarantine. The third side hustle opportunity during quarantine is to teach English online. If you are somebody who is based in the US, you probably have a decent understanding of the English language. And if you do, that actually provides you with a decent opportunity to teach other people English, because English is becoming far and away one of the most dominant languages for business, especially throughout the world. So if you have a strong control over the language, that gives you an opportunity to start teaching people in other countries how to communicate in English. Now, if you're looking to do this on a side hustle basis, the website VIP Kid is one of the best opportunities that I found to do this. They allow you to basically have people book times with you. They have 25-minute slots essentially that people can book with you. The starting rate for those is $8 per slot. So you do 2 slots in an hour with 10 minutes off. You get about $16 per hour, and that scales up based on how many of these you're doing every single month and how long you've been with the company. So if you stick with them for a couple months, if you're doing a couple of these a day, you can pretty quickly scale up to that $25 per hour mark by teaching English to children and adults in other countries. You're also able to boost your earnings by allowing people to book short-term notice classes with you. So if you do that, you can bump it up another $2 per class, make your way past that $25 per hour mark, maybe even get up to $30 an hour teaching English online. And this is one of the ones that you can do from absolutely anywhere. So you can do this from Thailand, which is where I actually spent a few months. Link to a vlog that I did while I was there will be up here in the corner. You can do this from the Philippines. I hire a lot of people out of the Philippines. One of them actually got me this shirt that I'm wearing right now. So shout out to you, Ace. It's really nice because it's totally location independent. All you need is a computer and reliable internet access, and you can get set up and allow people to start scheduling classes with you according to your schedule. Very nice. Side hustle number 4, this one is going to require a little bit more creativity, but again, it is totally location independent, so you can do it from wherever you are at. And this is selling stock photos from your phone. Pretty much everyone's carrying around a very high-powered camera in their pockets at all times, and so you can take advantage of this to start making some decent money online. There's a ton of stock photo sites online where people like myself and other small business owners and other creatives go to buy photos that they don't want to spend the time going out and taking. So if you can provide those photos to people, they are willing to pay for it, and you can start making some decent money. Now, this is one of the things where it's going to take a little bit of time to really build up a significant income stream on here because, I mean, it's totally passive, whereas you take the picture, you put it up, and then people just buy it like in perpetuity. But the thing is, you need to get a lot of images out there to start making some serious money, okay? Because if you have only a couple dozen images out there, people buy them occasionally, you're gonna get a little bit of money here and there. But say you take 100, 1,000, 10,000 pictures, you put all of these out there, people are going to consistently be buying them. And the more you put out there, the more income you're going to earn, obviously. Now, like I said, this is pure passive income, okay? You take the picture once, you post it once, and it's absolutely done. They're just gonna cut the check to you every single month for the photos that you sell, which is very, very nice. Now, if you want to do this right, the best way to do this is to list your photos on multiple sites. So you've got Adobe Stock, Shutterstock, 500 Pixels, Alamy, IM. These are like the 5 biggest ones that you should make sure to be posting your photos on. There's a whole number of other ones as well, but those 5 are going to get you really the most bang for your buck when it comes to posting your photos. And all of those sites allow you to post to their sites, but you don't have to exclusively post to their sites. So you can post them across all of these different platforms, which is very nice because you don't want to be limited to just one site. Based on some estimates that I did, if you list, say, 1,000 photos, on average, you're probably going to make about $500 per year, which doesn't sound like that much, depending on how fast you can take photos and whether you're doing this kind of full time or if you're just kind of snapping some pictures here and there. It adds up, but again, it's going to take some serious time and you're going to have to really put in some legwork before you start earning that serious cash. But again, if you do get a pretty substantial library of content built up, you'll be making some pretty significant passive income during quarantine. Now, one of the key strategies that I want to give you guys here is to develop a niche, okay? So when you are taking stock photos, if you develop a niche, you can start making a lot more money than that $500 per year that I mentioned. And that's because you can start building a brand, okay? When you post on these stock photo sites, they're going to take a cut, some of them more substantial than others. And if you're able to build a brand as someone who is taking, say, corporate photos or pictures of cars or pictures of plants. Like if you can build yourself a little brand on one of these sites, you can then take that to your own site, start selling photos for a bit more, start getting the full profits instead of just your cut from the bigger sites. So that's one of the biggest tips that I have for you. If you do want to go down the stock photo route, start figuring out how you can build a brand for yourself, build a niche for yourself. That's going to allow you to start making some more money with that. One other pro tip I want to give you is pictures of people sell for a lot more than pictures that don't have people in them. So if you can find people that will allow you to take their pictures and post them on these stock photo sites, that will be a much more significant income stream for you than just taking pictures of bugs. All right, side hustle idea number 5 during quarantine is to become a content writer. Now, this is where the real money starts to get made. Number 5 and number 6, these are the real significant money makers of the bunch. So content writing, generally, you're going to make about $30 to $50 per hour doing this if you're doing it right and if you're able to build up a little bit of skill in this area. So again, content writing is really nice because you can do this from absolutely anywhere. You can be on the beaches in Thailand. You can be hanging out in Hong Kong. You can be wherever you want. You probably don't have that much of an opportunity to travel at the moment, but no matter where you're based, this is completely available to you. Now, you've really got 2 main options when it comes to content writing when you're thinking about how you want to structure this. Okay, so the first option is to kind of create your own content from scratch and get hired as a freelancer on sites like Upwork and other freelance related sites. Okay, so that's option number 1. You can post your resume on those sites. You can reply to jobs on those sites and try to get hired by some online companies or by some bigger companies as a freelance writer for them, get paid per article, paid per word. And that's a decent way to go. There is less work required to get started if you go down this route, but there's also less income potential than the second opportunity that I'm going to share with you. Now, the second opportunity is to approach influencers and brands directly and offer to help them with their content. Okay, so what I mean by this, and this is something very similar to something that I did when I was just first getting started off in the entrepreneurship space. I was doing something similar on Instagram. I was helping YouTube influencers repurpose their content on Instagram. One big opportunity here is to be a content writer and help YouTubers repurpose their content for a blog, okay? A lot of YouTubers are realizing, hey, I don't want to be so dependent on YouTube. I want to branch out, do my own thing, start my own website. One of the best ways to do that is to start a blog. Most YouTubers do not want to take the time to turn all of their videos into blogs, but if you can approach them, make them an attractive offer where you can do that, it means 1, you don't have to do your own research on these topics because all you're doing is basically transferring a video into a blog. You don't have to do the research. You don't have to know as much about the subject area. And you can start to build very valuable relationships with people that you look up to. Okay, that was one of the biggest draws to my little Instagram business that I started back in the day, is I got to form relationships with key people who I really look up to in my space, who allowed me to work with them and who are paying me to basically just build a relationship with them and help them transfer their content to a new platform. So those are kind of the 2 options. You can either choose, hey, do I want to go on the Upwork route where I post my resume, reply to jobs, or do I want to approach influencers directly that I look up to, that I want to help, that I see a direct way to benefit their business and go down that route? Okay, again, that one's going to take a little bit more work up front. Find the influencer, convince them that you are the right person to solve their problem and that they even have a problem in the first place, but the rewards for that can be significantly higher. All right, now we're going to jump into the last opportunity and the most lucrative opportunity, most lucrative side hustle during quarantine to make some serious money. But before we do, I just want to ask you guys, if you were making a couple $100 extra during quarantine every single week, what would you be spending it on? I'm really curious. Let me know in the comments below. Now let's get to the 6th. All right, so the 6th and final side hustle opportunity during quarantine is to become a Zapier consultant. Okay, this is a business that I was pretty convinced that I was going to start a couple years ago, but decided to go in a different direction. But it's something that there's still a ton of potential for, and I don't really see anybody talking about this. So that's why I wanted to include it as the final side hustle on this list. Now, by being a Zapier consultant, I would say you could make easily $50 to probably up to $100 per hour working with different companies. Now, what the heck is a Zapier consultant? You might have no idea what I'm talking about. So let's just break that down for you. So Zapier is a productivity software that basically allows you to have different softwares talk to each other. Okay, so basically you can connect your your Stripe account with your Google Drive, with your Facebook, with all these things. You can connect all these things together and build some workflows that say, hey, when a new payment comes in via Stripe, send an email to so-and-so. and tell them about this order, or really any number of things, okay? Like basically any software you pay for probably is included on Zapier, where you can basically use Zapier to connect it with anything else. And it's just really, really nice. It streamlines things so much and really cuts down on a lot of manual labor that business owners have to do. I am a huge proponent of Zapier. Every business that I've ever run, I've built some crazy workflows for it to just really simplify things. I know firsthand that the workflows you build on Zapier can be very, very useful for small businesses. And I've showed plenty of other people, plenty of other businesses about Zapier, help them set some things up, and it's been like hugely rewarding for them. So if you can take some time to develop this skill, which really isn't a very difficult skill to develop at all. I mean, it's a very simple platform to use. You can start to make some serious money offering this service to small businesses in your local area. Now, the businesses that could benefit the most from this would be small professional firms. So things like lawyers, financial planners, accountants, AKA people with money who really value their time and have a lot of like menial processes that they really want streamlined. Okay, so you could go into a lawyer's office and help them streamline the process from a lead coming in and setting that appointment and notifying them and getting it on their calendar and like all of these things that just like go on behind the scenes that they're doing manually every single day. You could go in and be like, hey, I'm going to help you set all this stuff up to go automatic. They are going to absolutely love you for that. And your fees are going to be more than worth it for them. So essentially what you're doing, you're setting up these high ROI systems for them where you're saving them tons and tons of time, and they are paying you a small one-time fee for that privilege. Now, this is a really unsaturated space. I mean, there's not very many people doing this at all. There's a couple people with very small companies who are doing Zapier stuff, but for the most part, it's a very non-saturated space. So if this is something that is interesting to you, I would totally recommend pursuing it further. Now, I'm curious, which of these methods are you going to try? Let me know down in the comments below which of them sound the most appealing to you. And now the next thing you should do is watch this video over here where I share the highest paying job for college students to pick up once quarantine is over. While I was working this job, I was easily making $30 to $40 per hour and having a blast while I was doing it. So make sure to check out that video. And lastly, don't forget, click that subscribe button down below so you never miss another video. And I will see you in the next one.